It's time for another trip, and we're making our way to the boat to prepare to sail the ocean blue into the heart of England. We're excited, eagerly anticipating another memorable trip where we'll enjoy the spectacular sights, soak in the atmosphere of millennia of history right in the center of the city, enjoy the nightlife, iconic London, visit the amazing Borough Market with 1,000 things to buy and great things to eat, have breakfast there, do the tourist bit, see the city, and enjoy life on the ocean wave. Here we go. It's the time of the year when I get to visit my good friends and exchange the relative security of terra firma for the relative peace of the worldwide ocean. This time, Princess Elizabeth is unable to join us, and Count Colin, Prince Michael and I have been joined by Colin's brother, Sir Simon. First the coffee, and life is about to be interrupted by a fun interlude, which will take us aboard Pilgrim down the River Medway and up the River Thames to the heart of England, under the inimitable expertise of Count Colin and Sir Simon. Our starting point, as usual, the Chatham Maritime Marina. First task, to navigate the locks.
It's so much fun, even running around.
We're soon entering the historic Medway, Upnor Castle built by Queen Elizabeth I in the background. Mike taking the helm. Hardly any wind. Making good time. Just left Chatham now and we're heading down the Medway. It is a beautiful day. There's not hardly any wind at all, unfortunately, but that is a good thing too. Nice 21 degrees, and we are thoroughly enjoying every minute. Colin giving directions to Mike.
If it comes down rapidly, that's when you move out to the middle.
Passing familiar sights, relaxing, enjoying the sail. We have Colin and Simon hard at work. The wind is neither strong nor blowing in the right direction, but as it becomes favorable, we raise the jib. The favorable wind didn't last long, however, and we took it down. But we were nevertheless able to enjoy the sights as we approached Sheerness and entered the Thames Estuary. some interesting vessels.
If you hear it, just press that red
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Irritating.
A Dutch ferry. The proximity of the shipping lane from time to time, creating interesting illusions.
This is the bacon and sausage sandwich.
The sausages are from Suffolk. It's a well-known fact that Wickham Market is one of the best butchers in the country, and he sells Suffolk sausages. Another optical illusion.
Same again, coming across.
The weather was great. Even the seals were sunbathing, or should that be basking on the beach? As we started to go up the Thames, the wind was favourable, so once again we reverted to sail. Also encountering a Norwegian cruise line's ship.
They're going to Amsterdam. It's an NCL cruise ship. And there we are.
These cruise ships are certainly impressive, though in recent years there's been a great drive to cut down on the pollution they generate. Tilbury Docks. We're all relaxing and enjoying the moment.
Oh yes, yes.
Now.
Queen Elizabeth Bridge coming up in the next 20 minutes.
Catching a bit of the breeze now.
Next, the Queen Elizabeth II Bridge spans the river at Dartford, and two tunnels run underneath. Though it appears that the M25 London orbital motorway goes over it, it's in fact the A282, which means all traffic can cross it, as some vehicles are prohibited on motorways. At this point I heard Pilgrim giggling, happy to get the wind in her sails and glide effortlessly through the waves. Always a great pleasure. Next, the Thames barrier, built to prevent the capital from flooding during high tides or strong winds. At the present time, it's used 6 to 7 times a year. I love those interesting skies. Above, the Emirates Airline cable car. An expensive way to cross the Thames, but fun. The London City Airport is nearby, next to the Millennium Dome. At this point, we begin to feel like we're nearing our destination. The arrival of Greenwich indicates we've reached the center of the world. Time-wise, that is. It's considered to have a longitude of 0 degrees, which Simon attempts to illustrate on the GPS as we pass. The renowned Cutty-Sark tea clipper resides here. Colin promised me the trip last year, and not only did he deliver on the trip, but his fervent prayer even delivered on the weather. Such is the advantage of having friends of influence. As Tower Bridge appears, so does the euphoria of finishing the task. The old and the new welcoming us. So into the historic St. Catherine's Dock. Somehow it must have leaked out that we were arriving, and a crowd assembled to welcome us. What an enjoyable day it's been. Gloriana, the royal barge, is moored here. And we slowly maneuvered to our mooring space where we'd spend the night. We're arriving just as the sun is setting. I've had the privilege to visit many of the great cities of the world, and still my favorite city is London, though Paris is a close second. I don't count Jerusalem, that's out of this world. We've actually just had a steak, and I forgot to film it, But this was dessert. Then iconic London. Piccadilly, named after a shirt collar. Really. The Tower of London, built by William the Conqueror in 1078. Next morning, our stay in St. Catherine's Dock was special. Right in the heart of London. As soon as we walk out of the dock, we're at Tower Bridge. I'm shooting today with my DJI Pocket, so no zooms, but steady shots. Good for walking over Tower Bridge. Perhaps the most iconic structure in London, and definitely the most iconic bridge in the world, quite unlike any other. Opened in 1894, just 125 years ago. When you walk over this bridge, you feel you're here. There's none like it. Great views in every direction. It's a drawbridge and opens in the middle to let vessels pass underneath. City Hall, London's version of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. London's skyline is interesting. A great variety of shapes and punctuated by history. Ancient and modern history. The South Bank here known as the Queen's Walk. The Hayes Galleria, a delightful place to visit and eat and shop. London has made a great effort to preserve its heritage. Colin was a wealth of information.
So at the bottom left we've got Billingsgate,
Yeah.
and this big tall building on to the left here is called, I think it's called it's a mobile phone.
All
And that
right.
had a real problem with the sun catching it, and it was melting cars at the base of it, so they had to put screens in front of it.
Wow.
So we enjoyed our time here, but wanted to visit the renowned Borough Market for brunch. The route took us past the roasting plant, a high-tech, seventh-wave coffee establishment. And I leave it to your imagination what went down there. Very interesting place. Next, Borough Market. It's one of the largest and oldest food markets in London, with a market on this site dating back to at least the 12th century. The present buildings were built in the 1850s. It was first mentioned in 1276. Some sources say it existed since 1014 and maybe earlier. They were renowned for their apple pies in those days. The market at Southwark was established by a royal charter in 1550 and thrived. Not a lot of people know this, but by the 18th century the market caused such traffic congestion that in 1754 it was abolished and had to move nearby to the present site. Wonderful people here. A great variety of produce and fun to stroll around.
I'm here with Colin, and we just enjoyed Borough Market. We're about to have a wonderful English breakfast, and the treat is on me. This is Simon, and Simon said, go have breakfast, and so we all trooped in. Breakfast in the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, Borough Market.
And
Bring some.
with wonderful company.
This is the story of four men in a boat. As you remember, they were the tinker, the tailor, the soldier, and the sailor. Not many people know that. So what happened to the rich man, poor man, beggar man, and thief? They emigrated to America. One of them became president. Don't worry if you don't understand my oracular sense of humor. From time to time, even I don't get it, but I still laugh. Such is mirth, a priceless gift that Shakespeare often used, and though not many people know it, one of the three gifts the wise men brought to baby Jesus. The Globe Theatre. Here's an example of the gift of mirth.
So here we are in London. We're
Outside the Globe.
sunglasses, outside the Globe Cinema.
Shakespeare Globe, that is.
But Shakespeare didn't have a cinema.
No, and we're on the South Bank
Yeah.
of London. Thames behind us. What a glorious day.
It is very,
And
very
when you
nice.
walk up the steps and go in, every brick on the floor has got the name of somebody who donated towards the building of it.
And one of them has Mike's name on it.
No, I was very poor at the time.
It was for,
And as they say, not a lot of people know that.
as Donald Trump said, or Michael Caine said.
Michael Caine.
Donald Trump stole it from Michael Caine.
Clearly.
So
Anyway,
clearly,
over and out.
what did the elephant say to the naked man? He said, "However do you drink through that?"
We then walked over the river to St. Paul's Cathedral, another icon of London town. First consecrated in 1300, the present building in 1697. Not many people know this, but it was financed by a tax on coal in the city. Finally, another ice cream. All I can say, life is good.
On this side. Ropes on this side.
You can bring that back, Mike.
Well, as Andy would say, it's time to go home. We've had a great trip so far, but it's not over yet. As we head out of St. Catherine's Dock, I must say I'm really looking forward to sailing down the Thames and up the Medway. Once more into the loch, dear friends, once more, and out into the fabled River Thames. Past the iconic Tower Bridge that clearly has been sharded. Great views.
You don't feel the wind so much because we're going in the same direction. It's amazing.
I live in Hong Kong, and I have to say it's always a treat to be back in the old country, especially in London. And on a boat on the Thames with the crazy gang, special.
You seen I went to watch Neil Diamond in there.
Did you?
Packed.
Yeah.
It was that big. That's how far back we were.
Cruising down the river on a beautiful summer's evening, chatting with friends, is one of the great pleasures of life. Making a memory. London still growing. We're coming up to the Thames barrier, and as you guessed, there must be an airport close by. There is. It's scary to see the planes landing. No comment. On the bank of the river here, the London City Airport is in the old Royal Docks, close to the heart of the city, the runway parallel to the river. The sun is setting over the city.
Well, it's life on the ocean wave, and we are just coming down the Thames. A beautiful summer's evening, temperature about 21 degrees, humidity 62.5. We're about to go under the Queen Elizabeth Bridge. It spans between Essex and Kent. The cars will go over from Essex to Kent on the bridge, but there is also a tunnel underneath the river, and the traffic going from Kent to Essex will go underneath. It's 10 to 9 at night, and so we've about another three hours about before we'll reach Chatham. 4 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours.
When I made that mistake, the Grim Reaper briefly showed up. Mike looks like a character out of a Nostradamus novel. And slowly, oh so slowly, twilight falls, and we're alone with our thoughts. But not for long.
Well, it's a good evening from me and a good evening from
him.
We're just leaving Tilbury, approaching Gravesend. It's taken about 2¼ hours to get from London to this point, and we've travelled about 16 to 17 nautical miles. No wind, a storm behind us, so we've got about 4 hours to go. We should arrive in Chatham in about 4¼ hours, so we look forward to a really lovely evening, eating pizza, a little bit of chicken and salad, a cup of tea, wonderful fellowship. God is so good.
London is one of the greatest cities probably in the world, partly because of the life and energy that you find amongst the people walking around, people from every walk of life, just about every nation in the world. And it is fascinating just to walk down the streets or drive down the river, or maybe even float down the river And on top of that, in the middle of it all, are buildings of massive architectural interest. Some of them are very ancient, from your Saxon walls, from your Roman walls, right the way down to medieval buildings, and then the fantastic cathedrals and churches, some of which carry some of the most incredible stories throughout their history. So, if you're interested in coming, having a visit to London, maybe this time of year is a good one to come. The climate is great, and the company is wonderful.
And it's a good night from me.
And a good night from him.
Simon then took the wheel for a while, and we had a snack. What a day it's been. By the time we arrive in Chatham, it's pitch black. Certainly we made another memory with this trip. Colin, you were amazing. Simon, it was a joy to spend some time with you. Mike, the Shakespeare of our day, I'll never forget that classic line. London, people from all walks of life walking around. We spent the night on the boat, moored up in the Chatham Maritime Marina, and woke up to the day we'd been promised by the sun the night before. But it's breakfast time.
Well, we've come to the end of the journey, and we're sitting having breakfast.
We've survived.
In Chatham, in what is called the Pump House, and the two gentlemen that we brought along as guests have survived the journey, looking a little bit more forlorn.
So, it's been a fantastic time, and you would not believe what we've managed to do. We've lost some jam, we've lost our hats, we got the boat though, and we all got back safely.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Great breakfast in Chatham Marina. Recounting the experiences. And then we go under the river on our way back home. Another memory in the bag. And in case you're thinking we're crazy, we tried our best.